Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Hey, good morning, folks.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat.
Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are.
There it is, team. Morning. Morning, wherever you're tuning in from today.
Early bird gets the worm, they say. Here at Positive, we offer a 6-star team. It's a team that help you at every stage of your wealth creation journey.
Morning. Welcome along. Wednesday, 2nd of April. Time is flying, team. We're back for another episode of Wealth Coffee Chats, Property Management Edition. Of course, I am back. If I might not have been here last week, or definitely wasn't here last week, I was sipping some cocktails in the lovely island of Fiji. Looking out my window this morning, it's raining. So there you go. You get on with it, I suppose. So welcome along, team, along to Wealth Coffee Chats again. See a few of you guys jumping in already. So good to see you. Good to have you here. I'm going to get myself set up as we go along. If you haven't met me before, you haven't sort of jumped on Wealth Coffee Chats before, part of the collective team here, Positive, 6-star team that is. My name's Cass Shosted, representing the Property Management Group today. And on Wednesdays, about 10 past 8, local time, Queensland time, we get on, we talk about all things property management. We talk about the thing on how we're going to actually, go through holding property. What do those strategies look like? What are the things you guys need to know as landlords and investors with your property management crew? So we're going to deep dive into another topic this morning. Hope you guys can play along in the chat and get the most out of it. So that's me. If you don't already know, Cass is my name. And this morning, when I find it on my ticker here, team, doesn't seem to. There it is. All right, bit rusty on the tech, but there we go. I might need warranty next week. Today, team, breaking down the lease agreement, things you should know as the landlord and investor. These are things property managers should know as well. I'm going to share an example today of a lease agreement. For all intents and purposes, I'm just going to use a Queensland lease agreement today, team. But state by state, you'll get the gist of some of the terms, conditions, particulars in a lease agreement are quite similar. So I'm sure a lot of us can get a few things out of it today. So if you guys are good with that, let me know. Bunty's here. Awesome, mate. Good stuff. Justin, Jeff as well, mate. Morning to you. Fiji. Oh, Jeff, I just missed you by a week. There you go. Oh, mate, we could have had a cocktail together, that's for sure. Luke's here as well, and James, mate. Good morning to you guys. Always appreciate you guys jumping in. And I guess the question this morning in relation to, let's break down that lease agreement. As I click the wrong button again, team, bear with me. Breaking down the lease agreement, things you should know. Question I had for you guys to get it started in the chat perhaps is, what's the one clause in your lease agreement that might have costed you thousands of dollars and you don't even know it yet? Is there one clause in your lease agreement, you sort of through your property journey, you've gone, hey, didn't know that, or hey, next time I better I better change that up. I better tighten that clause up. Anything in that lease agreement, your experience through holding property, because I always say, the holding phase, the consolidation phase of your investment journey can be challenging, team. Can be challenging, and I guess part of Wealth Coffee Chats and the team here, part of the Six Star team, is to help you guys through that process. So, if you had any weird, wacky clauses in your lease agreement, let me know. Drop it in the chat. It'll certainly help today's conversation. And otherwise, I'm going to run through a standard Queensland lease agreement this morning. And like I say, state by state, they will differ. The statutory forms do differ. However, there's some particulars in terms and conditions that you might see a common theme throughout. We're going to relate that to our other parties. So, all things being equal, I will get rid of that ticker off your screen, and I will attempt to share my screen. Now, let's try and make this a little bit better for you guys. Let me know if you guys can see that okay. Let me know if you need me to zoom in a little bit more. I might try and make that a little bit more favorable for you guys in that space there. So, give me a bit of a yes in the chat. All good. Ready to go. Let's have a look at this lease agreement, team. So, in Queensland, as I say, the Form 18 General Tenancy Agreements, a couple of things we want to run through and look at in particular. So you'll notice, and if you haven't seen a lease agreement before, this is what it looks like. Page 1, we'll go through tenancy details. Now, to clarify, team, the lease agreements, right, it can feel like a set and forget document, but absolutely, trust me, getting it right, having the right terms and conditions on your lease agreement as per what has been agreed up front with that leasing process, can be the difference between a smooth tenancy and a legal headache. And I'm sure none of us here want the legal headache. So we're going to run through it today. Page 1, tenancy details. Essentially, to clarify, the agreement is not between the property manager and the tenant. The agreement is between the lessor, rental provider in your state, and the lessee, the tenant, the renter. And so these particulars need to go on page 1. Now, we can obviously refrain from some privacy details with relation to your contact details, of course. And as we go down the bottom of page 1, the agency details will be there. And that's what we need to put, care of R&W Plus as an example. And we go along. Skipping to page 2, team, what we do want to make sure we pay attention to is this section. How we're communicating with the tenant, making sure contact details are correct, the address of the rental premises, and any inclusions provided. If you have an investment property that is furnished, then you will need to attach a list of, furniture items within the property at the point of the entry condition report prior to the tenant moving in, and then we would include it in item 5.2. Now, something new for minimum standards across the board, 5.3, the details of any current repair orders. If there's any significant current repair orders that we need to include or disclose, then this is where that would go in there. So really important, team, that section there, 5.3, is filled out if you're going through something like that in that space. Okay, term of the agreement. Now, you wouldn't believe it. You would like to think that the start date and the end date would be accurate more often than not. I can tell you, team, I have seen over 14 years this section not even be complete right. So we do want to clarify, what type of agreement is this? Is it a fixed term agreement or a periodic? Periodic meaning week to week, month to month type of scenario, as you guys might be familiar with. But essentially, page 2 is going to outline some of the conditions, particularly when this lease commences, when this lease ends, and obviously the rent per week, per fortnight, per month. We need to state the frequency and set clear expectations from the start. We're also going to disclose to the tenant how we're going to expect them to pay their rent, including just to note as well, and your property managers will know this, but again, for you guys as landlords to know, we do need to offer one free method of rent payment that doesn't incur a cost to the tenant. So just keep that in mind. Okay, item 10.A. Now, you guys might know rent increases. How long, team? How often can we do rent increases? What do you guys reckon? Hopefully we've been paying attention in class here at Wealth Coffee Chats. Let me know in the team, how often can we do rent increases? Not necessarily just in Queensland, but New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia. Anyone want to have a crack in the chat for me? Maybe not, team. 12 months, right? 12 months. 12 months. So, we need to, again, disclose when the day of the last rent increase was, because it needs to now be 12 months from the previous increase. Cool. So just little particular items that can catch you out if you're not completing this form correctly. Okay, rental bond, we need to obviously explore and determine what services are going to be supplied to the premises for which the tenant may pay for, i.e. utilities, electricity, gas. If they want to hook up, internet as an example, some Wi-Fi. You need to obviously advise whether the tenant is required to pay water supply to the premises as well in regards to water usage. Now, keep in mind, your property needs to be sufficiently water compliant to start with. If you don't know if your property is water compliant, do certainly reach out to your property manager, that's for sure. If it's not water compliant, we cannot be charging. If you've got a property that is a little bit older, that maybe, you're in an apartment, it's 20, 30 years old, potentially you may have a situation where there's only one water meter for the entire building. Now, if that is the case, then we are not legally allowed to charge the tenant for the usage component, given there is only 1 meter. It cannot be split across the unit. So all properties must be individually metered, team, just FYI. Okay, we're going to go through here how many people have been approved to reside at the premises. Obviously, if you are in a strata complex, i.e. apartment building, townhouse complex, where there are bylaws via the body corp, then we need to disclose that and provide a copy of those relevant bylaws. So the question is, hey, have I got a copy of my bylaws? And 2, is my property manager providing that to the tenant? If they are not, we could technically be in breach. So we want to make sure we give that forward prior to this lease being signed. Now, of course, from time to time, there are things on applications where tenants would like to have pets approved. So, of course, we're going to just put that in here if that is what has been agreed to. And really important here, item 18.1, the contact details of the lessor's nominated repairer in the event there's emergency repairs. So, I mean, like major electrical fault, no hot water system, things that are deemed urgent repairs, which I'll cover in a moment. These are, this is a place and an opportunity for you or your property manager to put the allocated and assigned emergency contact details in the event that happened. Go back to Friday. I flew back in from Fiji, team. I was chilling out, unpacking my bag, and about 5:30, 6 o'clock on Friday night, a tenant had reported some drainage issues, and sort of water was backing up, through the shower floor. Now, it was kind of technically outside business hours. We jumped on it anyway to make sure we could control the situation. Why? Because we wanted to avoid the situation, which has happened. I've seen it happen many, many times across my career, where the tenant just goes and calls, the local plumber off Google, and all of a sudden, you've got a bill that is 3 times the amount because it's under emergency situation and outside business hours. And so we're just trying to control that situation for our landlords, and of course service the tenant at the same time. So, team, really, really important. The first 3 to 4 pages, you need to make sure that these are watertight, they're particular, and you're keeping safe at the end of the day. Everyone's jumping now. Sorry, team, I've just jumped back in the comments. So Trina nailed it. Jeff, there you go. Once every 12 months. Awesome. Sounds good, team. Sounds good. Glad we are on the same page. And as we go along, team, I'm not going to go through and bore you with all the terms and conditions today. But essentially, if you haven't sort of skimmed over one, or you're kind of interested in, what the terms and conditions are of a lease agreement, roll through it. This form, obviously, like I say from the start, this is a Queensland form, very similar terms and conditions that you'll find state to state. So do check your relevant lease agreement. But obviously, the outline of a lease agreement is to establish you as the landlord, your obligations and responsibilities, but also the tenant's obligations and responsibilities. And so this document will take you through and the tenant through what those obligations and responsibilities might be. When it comes to an entry condition report in Queensland, for an example, the lessor, i.e. agent, must prepare an approved form, sign and give the tenant 1 copy of the condition report for the premises. So that's the entry condition report we give to the tenant, which has comments and photos of, again, the internal and external condition of your property prior to them moving in, which is then used at the exit condition report. It goes through here, some things around the rent increases, obviously, like we say as you guys saw there, and you guys have answered in the chat, 12 months after the last rent increase is applicable, you must give 2 months notice as well in that space. And so your lease agreements in your relevant state will run through what these terms and conditions might look like. It also runs them through some things here in relation to, your right of entry, the tenant's use of the property. Obviously, pets is a big one, supply of locks and keys, run through minimum standards, and emergency repairs. And you'll see here in subdivision 4, damage and repairs, it actually identifies and states and tells you and the tenant and the property manager for that matter what an emergency repair is considered to be. Burst hot water system, major electrical fault, gas leak, etc., etc. And so, when we find, when we educate our tenants and landlords in this space, we find it a lot easier to manage the situation when emergency things happen. In my opinion, they are inevitable. It's kind of like a part of the property investing journey, as much as we all try to ignore it at times, right? No one wants to deal with it, but at times these things happen. If you've got a framework and a structure and a process in place, team, to handle this stuff, and when it happens, I can tell you the problem's going to feel about a 2 out of 10 and not 11 out of 10, and you can have less stress in your life. And I think that's a good way to go. And so, the rest of the terms and conditions here that are stated on here will continue to outline, how do you end an agreement? I need to have more coffee this morning, I think, team. And of course, what to do with the exit condition report. What's the parameters of how quick the lessor must do it? For example, in Queensland, the lessor or the lessor's agent must, within 3 days after receiving a copy of the report, sign the copy, and then obviously work through that process with the tenant. Okay, we can't wait weeks and weeks for the tenant to vacate and then go through. Now, special terms and conditions, it's left blank. There's some weird and wacky things over my time that I think I've seen self-managing landlords put in there. Some crazy stuff. I actually tried to find a copy of this post I saw in a landlord Facebook group from weeks ago. I'm kicking myself I didn't screenshot and save the post, but I will try and find it, team, because it's some really interesting stuff in there that goes on, and you'll often find that most of those special clauses, conditions that landlords or property managers put in there, you'll often find they're irrelevant. Why? Because they don't necessarily comply with legislation. And if they don't comply, then it's not enforceable, and then it's just a waste of time, isn't it? So we're not going to do that. I'm not going to do that for you guys. I want to make sure we are nice and clean with our lease agreements, keep it watertight, keep you guys safe, of course. And if we can do that, we're going to have a smooth tenancy. If we have a smooth tenancy, we're going to have a good, situation at the end of that tenancy, whether it's regards to that lease renewal rent review conversation to maximize that rent in the event we need to or we can do. Alternatively, it's going to have a smooth vacate, and there's going to be less challenges and problems in your investment journey. So that's my 2 cents this morning, team. Wealth Coffee Chats, done and dusted. I'll definitely be here next week. I won't be in Fiji, unfortunately, Jeff. So, but there you go, team. That's me done and dusted for Wealth Coffee Chats. Thanks for jumping in the chat and having and sort of being part of the conversation this morning. Really appreciate your time and energy. Tim, thank you to you as well, mate. You guys have a lovely day wherever you're tuning in from this morning, and I'm sure I will see you very shortly. All right, that's it, team. Thanks.
Thanks for watching another episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the 6-Star team here at positivementor.com.au.